Tony Stark built his suit in a cave with a box of scraps. Riri Williams? She built a show with a committee of DEI consultants, the ghost of Kevin Feige's career, and the rotting corpse of Marvel Phase 4. And surprise, surprise, it flopped harder than Ant-Man Quantumania at a family reunion. What's up, my beautiful nerd degenerates? Welcome back to The Critical Nerd. I'm your humble host, Chris, and this is the only place where we scrape the bottom of the Disney Plus barrel so you don't have to. Today's abomination? Well, it's Ironheart, a series so unloved, so unwatched, and so DOA, it makes Echo look like Endgame. And just like clockwork, the excess media is blaming you, the viewer. So grab your vibranium tissues and strap in, and let's autopsy this disaster. So the numbers are in, folks, and surprise, surprise, nobody's watching this thing. Ironheart failed to chart on Lumiate's top 10 streaming originals for its debut week. That was last week. First 3 episodes dropped. Yeah. Now, for those keeping score at home, this is the same chart that regularly features shows like Love Island. You know, a reality show about attractive people in bathing suits doing absolutely nothing of consequence. But somehow even that has more cultural relevance than Marvel's latest diversity checkbox project. Let me put this in perspective for you. They dropped 3 episodes, again, last week. That's 2.5 hours of content on the first day. 2.5 hours. That's longer than most Marvel movies, and yet it couldn't even crack the bottom of the chart that includes shows that have been off air for weeks. At the bottom of that chart, Mobland. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Can't wait for season 2. Excellent show. With 260.8 million minutes watched. And here's the kicker. Mobland hasn't released new episodes in weeks. Yet, it's still pulling more views than Disney's shiny new MCU project. That means Ironheart came in under 87 million minutes per episode. And for context, that's roughly 1.7 million people watching in all of North America. Ladies and gentlemen, Love Island, a show about pretty people in bikinis saying stupid things, is destroying Marvel's Iron Man replacement. Let that sink in. But wait, it gets better. Disney is so desperate to generate buzz for this train wreck that they had Robert Downey Jr. himself out there shilling for it on social media for weeks. RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., the man who single-handedly saved Marvel and launched the MCU as we know it, reduced to being a hype man for knockoff Iron Man. And you know what that accomplished? Nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. RDJ's star power couldn't save the show, which tells you everything you need to know about how fundamentally broken this project is. When Iron Man himself can't get people interested in Ironheart, you know you've got problems. It's like asking Marlon Brando to promote a community theater production of The Godfather starring the local high school drama club. Sure, Brando's involved, but that doesn't change the fact you're watching amateurs fumble through material they have no business touching. Now here's where it gets really fun. Because as sure as the sun rises in the east and sets on Disney's stock price, the mainstream media has rolled out their greatest hits album of excuses. It's review bombing. That's what they cry. It's racist trolls, they wail. MAGA extremists are attacking our precious show. Articles with headlines like, let's call the Ironheart hate really what it really is, started popping up faster than Disney Plus subscription cancellations. The usual suspects, MovieWeb, Screen Rant, and the rest of the excess media. They immediately went into damage control mode, suggesting that anyone who doesn't like this show is obviously a racist, sexist, bigoted monster who probably kicks puppies for fun. Because apparently the only reason someone might not enjoy watching a poorly written, cheaply produced show about a character nobody asked for is because they hate women and minorities. Yeah, it couldn't possibly be because the show is, actually bad. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score started at 32%, and that was before the show even premiered. Now the media wants us to believe that this is all coordinated harassment. But maybe, just maybe, people looked at the trailers and thought, gee, Wally, this looks terrible. Revolutionary concept. I know. So here's what's really going on. Disney spent years and millions of dollars creating a show based on a comic book character that nobody cared about in the comics. Ironheart's comic run was about as popular as a root canal at a dental convention. The character was created during Marvel's peak, replace all the male white heroes phase. And comic readers rejected her faster than a bad batch of radioactive spider bites. But Disney, in their infinite wisdom, thought, you know what? Let's take this failed comic character and give her an entire TV series. Surely what didn't work in print will be just magical on screen. The show itself delivers exactly what those destroyed trailers promised. Another stunning and brave entry into the MCU that prioritizes message over story, diversity over quality, and social justice over basic storytelling competence. It's Iron Man with all the fun, charisma, and competence surgically removed and replaced with teenage drama and ham-fisted social commentary. Now, Disney, as they do, will inevitably release some carefully messaged viewership numbers claiming 7 million households tuned in during the first week, or some similar sounding impressive figure. The Access Media will dutifully report this as a massive success, conveniently ignoring that 7 million would actually be catastrophically low for a Marvel property. For comparison, when Daredevil Born Again launched, another show considered a disappointment by Disney standards, it pulled over 300 million minutes in its first few days. That's with fewer episodes and less total runtime than Ironheart had available. This is the same playbook they used for The Acolyte, Secret Invasion, and every other Disney Plus disaster. Release optimistic sounding but ultimately meaningless numbers, get the trades to write puff pieces about success, and hope nobody does the actual math. The real tragedy here isn't just that Ironheart is failing, it's that this represents everything wrong with modern Marvel under Kevin Feige's leadership. They've forgotten that the primary job of entertainment is to, entertain people. Instead, we get shows that feel like they were created by a corporate committee using a diversity checklist as their primary creative document. Let's see, okay, we need a young woman of color, some social commentary about systemic issues, and maybe throw in some magic versus technology themes because that tested well with focus groups. What we don't get is compelling characters, engaging stories, or the basic craftsmanship that made the early MCU films critical phenomenon. Tony Stark wasn't beloved because he checked certain demographic boxes. He was beloved because he was funny, flawed, charismatic, and genuinely cool. Riri Williams is none of those things. She's a checkbox, a political statement wearing a suit of armor, and audiences can smell the manufactured nature of it from a mile away. So, the inevitable conclusion here? Well, here we are, watching another Kevin Feige production, crash and burn while the media desperately tries to convince us that our lying eyes are actually racist. Yeah, again, Ironheart joins the growing pile of post-Endgame Marvel content that ranges from disappointing to actively insulting to the source material. The show will limp through its remaining episodes, 3 this week. The media will write think pieces about how its failure proves America is irredeemably bigoted, and Disney will quietly bury it alongside Echo, Secret Invasion, and all other forgotten experiments in modern audience storytelling. Meanwhile, actual audiences will continue voting with their eyeballs and their wallets, choosing to watch literally anything else, including reality shows about attractive people in swimwear, rather than subject themselves to another lecture disguised as entertainment. And you know what? Good for them. So, what did we learn today? Well, Ironheart was a flop. Nobody watched it. The critics lied, and the media blamed you, me, the fan, the viewer, the paying customer. Meanwhile, the fans, well, they've moved on. They're rewatching Infinity War because it had stakes, heart, and actual story. So Disney, here's a tip for you. Stop chasing trends. Stop lecturing your audience. And for the love of Stan Lee, just tell a good story. So here's to the audience, the only critics that matter. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next Marvel meltdown. And remember, in the MCU, Phase 5 doesn't stand for Cinematic Universe. It stands for 5-alarm dumpster fire. Stay critical, my friends. Critical Nerd, out.